Mr. Kulkarni, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I just want to kick off the conversation straight away with what we were discussing, right? Responsible AI and the whole cultural aspect that you mentioned. Very fascinating. I've heard it for the first time. People talk about ethical and responsible AI. No one has touched upon the cultural aspect of it. So would love to know more. What is the cultural aspect of responsible AI?
So going back now, generative AI is a big craze here.
Correct.
Everybody is doing generative AI. There are large language models with which we are doing generative AI. But one of the aspects that is missing, typically in the so-called Western companies built model, is the local nuances. See, we are using language in different ways. The way
Right.
a Westerner would use and way an Indian would use.
Right.
There are cultural aspects which are very local in nature. So those aspects, as they are not in the training data, their labeling was not done that way. So they may give very wrong results, very offending results in some sense. That's what we should do apart from being responsible, being ethical, being culturally correct also. For that, we would need training data. So that's what I think India should strive for, building local data which is culturally aware.
So I 100% agree to what you said, right? Non-generative or generative, both the elements of AI
Correct.
have not been trained, or rather have been trained primarily focusing on the Western data.
Correct.
We Indians have sort of evolved into it.
Correct.
Now, my question to you, sir, is why do you think that Indians did not look in the other direction and decided to do local, and why did they just jump on the West?
Well, there's a big reason for it. Because we are very comfortable with English. That's a big aspect of it. So we also created English content, right?
Right.
Whoever was in net, whoever did whatever, WhatsApp, Twitter, whatever. Some people, of course, use Indian languages written in Roman script, but that's a very small data per se.
Correct.
So we also did English. They also did English. That's why English training data is huge compared to local regional languages data.
So a little information about us, right? So BK3 Studios, the company that I represent, we're building something in ethical AI.
Good.
Purely in audio space, in podcasting, agentic AI model, but ethical, licensed content, the works.
Good.
We decided, uh, and I had the same intuition, right? I said, I am from Punjab. Punjab itself has 5 languages, dialects of the same language, right? I'm a polyglot. I can speak and communicate in 9 languages. And each of those 9 languages has multiple dialects and and nuances and stuff, right?
Correct.
I realized there's no data. I can't create content if I have to in any of these languages.
Correct.
Then there was an inflection point. We were working with a hotel company. They said we need to capture, or we need AI generated traditional Indian images of the Indian diaspora.
Correct. Totally.
Immediately on the table, I said, not possible.
Correct.
I'll have to shoot manually.
Yes.
Right? There's just no data. So we decided to shift there. Right? But the challenge that we face, while what you said is a validation of what we're doing and going in the right direction, right? So we are working, our product will have the 125 Indian recognized languages and 7,000 dialects.
Correct.
We're localizing the data. But the challenge is it's the future.
Correct.
At the current present state, I'm not able to convince the investors. I'm not able to convince my customers. I'm not able to, like, you are understanding what I'm saying because we're working in the same space. Had it been someone else who's just working in generative AI, they would think that I'm wasting my time.
Correct.
So even today, although, okay, so the bus, we missed the bus.
Correct.
Now AI has evolved into whatever. Even today, why do you think people are not moving in the direction of localizing?
It is people are. So there is a big open source effort that I was personally part of. It was by Cohere, company called Cohere, and they built a data set called Aya, 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 where they had like almost all languages, prominent languages of the world. Okay? I was part of Marathi, my mother tongue.
Yes.
And we created data set, labeled data set, and these guys have open sourced it. Now you have a data set which is labeled in your language.
Oh, great.
I think we should leverage such data sets, such efforts for our own benefit.
But why do you think these developments have not become mainstream?
Actually, it needs adoption. It needs awareness, of course. Now they have open sourced it. Previously, these efforts were there, but they were closed source. They were internal to companies. So biggies would do it internally, but then there is a scalability issue. They'll have to pay somebody. Correct. This was volunteer effort, so that's why it became big, and they have open sourced it. So money, scaling, volunteering, all these aspects were there as impediments before. But slowly they're coming out of it.
Right.
They are getting good data now.
From the adoption perspective, so do you think as consumers, Indians specifically,
Correct.
do you think they're inclined towards their regional cultural language more than Western data?
So actually we have sort of a status symbol if you do it in English, right? Of course, that's given.
Of course.
If it actually, but people like regional content. And then we can see Hindi channels, news channels are far more popular than the English. That's the proof of it.
Absolutely.
Only thing is they have to be very correct. The quality wise, regional content, if it is correct and if it is really, really affordable, then sky is the limit. Bottom of the pyramid is yet to be tackled.
And that is where the challenge is, right? I was just having a conversation with a gentleman, before this conversation, that bottom of the pyramid makes resources
Yeah.
out of reach.
Correct, correct.
How do we tackle that fundamental problem?
So I think start with giving whatever free products, but reasonably quality products. And you can see there are quite a few efforts on Indic languages that are coming.
Yeah.
IIT Bombay, IIT Madras, Sarvam, all these guys are doing that. So once these start getting traction, no, we will see apps in the regional languages which are paid also. Maybe a little bit, but paid also, and you can make business out of it.
Sir, I have one peculiar question. In general, and I work with a lot of startups, seen a lot of pitch decks. In general, there is a notion that if you want to sell something to the Indian community of fraternity in India, a tech product, you're going to fail. Your revenues will never scale because we are not considered to be good paymasters. We don't want to pay. We want everything free. I mean, there's nuances to it, but at a broader level, do you see that changing?
It will slowly change. If you know, we are just not really cheap product or cheap consumer company. Customers.
Yeah.
We are valuing customers, right? We don't sell only Maruti 800s now or Altos 8.
Yes.
We sell actually the bigger ones also because we see value. So if you provide value, maybe you need not start with B2C first. Start with B2B in Indic languages itself. B2B, where you are almost guaranteed to get money, some money out of it, right?
Right.
So start with services, start with B2B, and slowly adoption will come, and then you'll get B2C also.
Right. So I just want to digress the conversation a bit now. There was the AI thing, the hype happened. Now it's reality. And now people are realizing that no, this is kind of my data theft. If someone used my data without my permission, I don't want it to happening.
Correct.
So now there is responsible and ethical AI
Correct.
things coming up. Now there's a third spectrum of people, companies, businesses coming up who are saying that on our platform there will never be any AI created or driven content or data.
Correct.
Right? There are companies who are still sticking to conventional non-AI data structures.
Correct.
What is the relevance and when will this fight end?
Actually, slowly as these LLMs, large language models, evolve more and more, it will be hard to distinguish. First of all, it will be hard to distinguish. So it is a futile battle, I think.
Is it?
The manual and the AI generated will slowly converge in some sense because the training data that these further language models, future language models will use will be synthetic also.
Correct.
So manual plus synthetic will be part of training itself. Then it will become more difficult to distinguish. So that battle is futile actually.
So you work at the center of responsible AI, and I can sense the passion that you carry for it. Do you think responsible AI or ethical AI companies can build a strong, scalable business around it 10 years from now, 20 years from now?
So actually, it's a cornerstone. Responsible and ethical AI is cornerstone. Assume a big company is having a chatbot which starts giving an odd answer, inappropriate answer. What is the business impact of it?
My God, too big.
Amazing, right? And then the lawsuits,
Correct.
everything, legal, non-legal, everything. Correct. So having responsible output is extremely critical. So having guardrails, having post-processing to check the outputs, these are also part, not just training part, but post-processing is also important. So responsible AI is critical.
And you think that's going to bring in the new set of jobs?
Correct. Absolutely. And this is actually human expertise. Whether this is really appropriate or inappropriate, culturally, locally, that way. So that ethics part is really human. So humans would do the checking, not AI.
Why do you feel, sir, that people are not thinking about it as a career?
People will see. If you see such jobs, no, now prompt engineering jobs have started coming in.
Yeah.
Wonderful salaries.
Yeah.
People will go that direction. Correct. Then of course this ethical and responsible AI thing will come in the picture for the curation part, training data curation as well as post processing. I think things will come.
And so there's one peculiar problem that almost everybody is facing today is shallow output.
Correct.
Quick movement,
Correct.
couple of prompts, shallow output, delivered, paisa andar.
Yeah.
And now, as you very aptly mentioned a while ago, that is getting infused into the next new age
Correct.
LLMs, right? How when will this change? When will the depth come in, or how can the depth come in?
See, people will start. See, so what happens? There is RLHF, right? And in model training also, people have human feedback into the picture. Yeah. Now slowly, even RLHF will evolve and they'll see the depth. They'll expect the depth, and accordingly they'll rank the things. So that depth expectation will also seep into the training. Slowly. Now people won't tolerate any shallow output.
Correct.
They'll rank it low. So that's the key.
So which means bringing the conversation to a conclusion, sir, is whatever said and done, while there will be job losses, but in the equal number there will be job creations as well.
Absolutely. But there will be new tech jobs. Prompt engineering, ethical curation, responsible AI, cultural infusion, all those aspects will come into picture. And another aspect that people have missed is it will broaden the horizon. You need not be a com science guy to do responsible AI. You can be a domain expert or humanities guy.
Correct.
And still do it. So it has broadened the horizon.
Sir, why the education system do you think is not changing around it?
It will, as the industry will start demanding, the education will cater to it. Will cater to it. Finally, it is supply and demand.
Right. Great, sir. This was very short but very insightful conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I look forward to hosting you again for a more detailed conversation around the whole AI shift coming in the world. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.